That's in the forward bias. While in the reverse bias, this region here has to be completely depleted before it becomes off. So, you know, you have to really wait for this to be clear of charges, no charge. To achieve the reverse bias. Now, what happens is you apply your reverse bias, and the process is to clear all the charges here, because you have a heavy accumulation of charge. And you won't reach that situation until that's completely off. Now, look at this. In the forward bias, you have very low impedance. While in the reverse bias here, because of this now is an insulator or intrinsic, you have a very large separation between the V plus and N plus, and therefore you have a very small capacitance. Your capacitance obviously is changing with voltage, so it can be used as a varactor. The varactor is variable capacitance diode situation. So in the forward bias you have a huge capacitance and a low impedance. In the reverse bias you have a small capacitance. So you can see that it models as a perfect switch. The switch is closed here, and the switch here is open. The capacitance here is very small. Capacitance here is very large. This one here is large C, small c. So it can be used in controlling the high frequency flow. You can switch a line off and on. You know, if you are mixing several lines and you put the pin diode switches here, all right? You know, the lines that are on have a good pass through, while these are good, are well isolated from the rest of the circuit, right? So basically, you know, if you are switching different lines into one line, that becomes an excellent device. So it's used in control circuits of high frequency operations a lot, and these high frequencies, the switch is perfect well. Same time, the fact that it requires, you know, the complete depletion of all these carriers, or complete evacuation of all these carriers, it causes this sudden switch. You know, even if you have a few carriers left, you know, it takes time. Obviously, if you where's the diagram? It's right here. Okay. Instead of redrawing it, here it is. Okay. Look at this diagram here. It's backwards. Right. You apply a negative bias. You have forward bias right there. You have forward bias right there, and you apply a negative bias. Right. Now, during that process, the charge was that much, and the charge started to deplete. You are evacuating all these charges here. So you're not reverse bias until you really evacuate all the charges. And at that point only, that your diode now switches from on to off. And that switching process here happens very fast because of the very small capacitance. And that's why they call it the snap-off diode. You know, it just snaps into off, in a very short time. And like I said, you know, we use it to sharpen pulses like the one that we get from the avalanche resistor, for example, and we can get down to tens of picoseconds. And the fact that this is a very large separation means it can withstand higher voltages. So these kind of things can operate in tens of volts. You can operate it for 50 or 100 volts easily without any trouble whatsoever. So they are very, they call it the workhorse of microwave circuits. You know, it's really a very practically useful device that is used in many applications. Step recovery diode, we call it snap-off diode, control diode, pin diode. These are all typical names for it. Now, I couldn't find a good reference on this other than those pages that I had copied years back, and I don't know where they are. Where did I get them from? So I'm still looking for a good reference on the pin diode to put on Scholar as well. How is time? Time goes back very fast. Now, any questions before we go today? All right. So more on these devices on Monday. Likely I'm going to get into traveling wave tubes, Klystron and magnetron. We talk about vacuum tube dials, vacuum tube devices that are used in microwave frequencies.